great time. I came to Grace Church at a time when it was actually expanding the sanctuary. When I came, we were about 7-8 months away from finishing that sanctuary. I can remember having 3 services in the Family Life Center, the Fellowship Hall. I can remember living in a nursing home near Luther Ridge. I can remember living in a 1-bedroom apartment while my wife Cindy was down in Pinehurst trying to sell our home. I can remember the confusion on Sunday morning with 3 services back to back. But I could also remember the life of the congregation that was so strong and so vibrant.
Oh Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. Oh,
when I think of Grace Church, I think of the meaning of grace, which is God's unmerited love, and I think of coming to a church at a time when it was just really starting to bulge with rapid growth under Pastor Lutter so quickly, from about 500 members to over 1,000 members in a short time. We had a lot of people, we had a lot of kids, and we had a little room. I can remember the worship services at 9 o'clock and 11:15, and then I can remember worship services at 9:30 and 11:15, so that we could have some sort of adult education between our services.
I was there when you were but a child, with a faith to suit you well. In a blaze of light you wandered off to find where demons dwell.
Hilton Edward Esteem, I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
When you heard the wonder of the word, I was
there were a lot of wonderful days and a lot of wonderful ministry that took place at Grace Church. When I moved there, we had very little staff. We had Jan Klein as our parish administrator. We had Linda Martinez and Noel Hoots as our folks that were taking care of the property in very loving ways. But we had no organist. The organist quit 2 weeks after I arrived, and so then we went to work looking for a director of music. We happened upon Michael Brandon, and from that point the music started to improve in great lengths. And then we added Sue Filson to do work with youth. And then, of course, we were so fortunate to add Pastor Ralph Hill to the staff.
One of the first things that comes to my mind is the sense of family that we experienced when we came to Grace. Getting to know a lot of people in a short amount of time back in 1994, and realizing how strong those relationships would be over the years. And even now, since we've been away 4 years, how strong those bonds and those memories still continue to carry us.
But it's delightful in God's eyes when He sees us going about and participating in the ministry that God draws us into. And so when someone is lost in their life and they're found, God and heaven rejoices. When people who hurt in ministries are in place to embrace and to comfort them, God in heaven rejoices. When people have their faith rekindled and they dust off their God-given gifts and they begin to kind of re-engage in the life of the church, God in heaven rejoices. When people recognize the God who created and called and empowered them and sent them and go to lift His name on high, God in heaven rejoices.
One of the things I think about when I was working there was the youth ministry program. That seemed to go really well. One of the charges I had, I guess, was to help work with the youth ministry, and we did some neat firsts, I thought. One of the first that we did was a servant work camp that we did out of group ministry. I remember we took a group to West Virginia, and the thing I remember about that, other than the 375 kids sleeping on the cold slab of a high school floor and learning to get up early in the morning and go to bed late at night, was a sense, I think, of accomplishment that we instilled in our youth, that they could go to a place and help and serve people that they didn't know and come away feeling almost empowered by what took place because they stepped out of their comfort zone and assisted others. We also went to some of the first national youth gatherings. We went to New Orleans, we went to St. Louis, and one of the neat things I remember about each of those were the quotes that we took from our kids. I probably can't share any now, but we can talk about them later. But we had a great time with that.
We formed our Lutheran Men in Mission, and we realized that we had to have something to do. We had to have a project. We had to have a reason. So the first thing that we decided to do was we decided that we would build the house that Grace built, a Habitat for Humanity home. But we also knew that the first thing we had to do was pay for it. So our first effort was to raise the $40,000. And then the next effort was to build the Habitat. I remember during December having a dedication of the house that Grace built, and then to have other churches in the community challenged to do what Grace Church had done.
I also think about the wider church and how we did reach out to the community. One of the things it seems like with Pastor Clemmer was a big focus for him was making sure that we reached out to the community of Hendersonville and beyond. We were always trying to help people, and he was one that certainly brought that on.
I think of Grace Church as being someone who, as a church, that would give continuously of itself. I remember when I got there, and I think our discretionary fund was maybe $500, and I think by the time I left, we would probably give up to $15,000 to $20,000 away a year, helping those who were in need in our community. There was a time at which the Department of Social Services would actually call and ask if we possibly could help this family or that family, because they knew the Grace Lutheran Church was one that you could call upon, and when times were hard, we were there for anyone and everybody.
Can't forget the adoptive families that we did at Christmas Eve. One year we started out and we just said, let's do 25, and we had 25 families, not really thinking what it must take to deliver all that stuff to 25 families. I can still remember being in the back of Bill Hargrave's ice cream truck with all these pre-decorated Christmas trees, going up this curvy mountain and hitting bumps, and every bump a glass bulb would fall off and hit the ground, and it felt almost like being in the cartoon at Christmas time with a Grinch. After his heart grows 3 sizes bigger, and he's on his way to deliver all the goods, because when he showed up to these people's homes and delivered all the things that our family at Grace collected, to see the looks on their faces was really amazing.
Served a lot of people.
We did.
Loved a lot of people. Buried a lot of wonderful people.
We did. We did a lot of things with folks in very important times in their life, and I think that's a very meaningful thing that I got out of this together. I think we'd surprise people sometimes. We would tag team visit them, and it was just for us to get to see them together. But
both an excellent team for us. I think during that time, I remember a couple things. It was more of a feeling of family. He always introduced the service with the Good Morning Family, and it was more than just the words. We began to feel really a family. The other thing that he brought about is we began becoming much more involved in the community with helping IAM and other agencies like that, became really a major player of the churches in Hendersonville in our benevolence to the community, and something that made us feel really proud. We were sorry when Pastor Clemmer and Pastor Hill both left. Pastor Ed Thomas was only here for a short time, but I personally saw a lot of positive things come out of that. The small group ministry, the purpose-driven life, Stephen ministry, he was all instrumental in all those things beginning. From a personal standpoint, a real, I experienced a lot of spiritual growth during that time. We've got about 17 active Stephen ministers now. We could use more ladies right now, and we could use more men care receivers. There's a tendency for men to kind of keep things within themselves and not open to sharing as much as a woman would. So we have some trained men Stephen ministers that are still waiting for care receivers. Yeah, we both led Purpose-Driven Life and also 40 Days of Purpose groups, and we're into the Disciple program now. We've both been through Disciple 1 and 2, and I'll be co-leading a Disciple 3 class with Sue Cobb, who's been a real blessing to us too, coming up this fall. Now it looks like we've got another set of good people in here, and I'm looking forward to continue growth here in Christ and in the community.
We've always been active in doing things and having meetings and going to conventions and this and that. And I was president a few years and off and on, and we've always worked, and we have a wonderful women's group. We have big circles. We have a wonderful quilting group.
We have over 60 that are active, either in Handy Hands, which is a service that we provide to any member of the church or even a member of the community to do minor repairs. We've been involved in a lot of habitat and Homemade, which is now a housing authority. We spent almost 2 days there 3 years ago rebuilding that entire facility from the roof down, and we did it in conjunction with the prisoners that were here. Now they're gone. The Hammers for Him are a little bit more involved on major repairs, roofing, foundation, what have you. The highlight of some of our dinner meetings has been, in the past several years, the Sweetheart Banquet. So these are some of the things that we are involved in, but it's mainly for fellowship and also goodwill and fun. The Blitz Bill was started last year by Habitat for Humanity, and it's a one-day blitz build. All the walls and roofing are prefabricated at Habitat's shop, delivered to the scene. The foundation is there, the subflooring is there, and the idea is for the workers to put up the walls and put the roof and weather it in. So you've got doors, windows, walls, siding, everything, and then the only thing Habitat has to do is bring their inside crew in for plumbing and electrical. And we just did one with 62 volunteers out at Huey Knowles a month or so ago, and we had a great fellowship there. Next year, we hope to do another house that Grace built from the bottom up, and we're looking forward to that. I think probably the most amazing thing are the interim pastors that we have had, the Magnificent Seven. And I have never seen anything like that in my entire life, and it was just, I mean, we were blessed, truly blessed to have them.
Yes, this is the end of the interim, and we are at another point in transition. And if you've noticed, I've been smiling a great deal, it's so much so it's almost planted on my face. My days at Grace began as your visitation pastor August 2002, and now culminate in 18 months of interim ministry, which I've had the privilege of leading along with my colleagues, as well as the responsibility. Pastors Tom Herlocker, Tim Robinson, Ed Ehlers, Edgar Trexler, Nick May, and Bill Siebert, who's been particularly my partner in visitation ministry and many, many other tasks as well. The interim ministry with the retired pastors of Grace has been highly unusual, and to my knowledge, I don't know if it's ever been done before. Each pastor representing countless years of service in ministry of the church have been engaged in the entire life and ministry here at Grace. We have enjoyed working with each other and certainly have found it to be a very high water mark to work with you, members of Grace, during this special interim time. And I need to add that you have quite a staff here at Grace. Thank you for your partnership in the gospel. I have a deep appreciation for your ministry in this place. Every staff member I count as a friend and a colleague as well. Now, however, we come on this last Sunday of the church year, on Christ the King Sunday, to bring closure to our formal relationship together as pastor and members of this congregation. Without a doubt, God has blessed Grace during the interim time, and God will continue to do so with the capable leadership of Grace's newly called pastor, Senior Pastor Gregory Williams.
You have been faithful in sharing the good news of Jesus Christ at Grace. We thank you for your ministry in our midst since May 1st, 2004 until now. We, the members of Grace, release you from this responsibility.
Thanks be to God.
We were fortunate in that Pastor Tom Casson was here when we first got started, and he got the music and musicians, singers together. And being a Lutheran pastor, he was familiar with the liturgy, of course. And also he could read music, but he could also play by ear, which helped a lot. Some of the songs that we he taught us that didn't have music. So I think that got us off to a really good start music-wise. And then shortly after the service started, Pastor McKenzie started leading that service. And I think that both of those two really got us off to a good start and gave the contemporary service the credibility I think it needed to get off to a good start. To be quite honest, with all the wonderful equipment we have up there in the contemporary area, the personal monitors and all, and we're a little bit separated from the congregation, but when I can hear the congregation sing louder than we are, that's a highlight. That the whole congregation is worshiping together and singing at the top of their lungs. That's a highlight.
Translated as he can't hear. So here I am guiding this possibly deaf kid around, like clapping in his face. And I'm like, come here. Like my shirt everywhere he's going. And
I danced in the morning when the world just begun. I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun. I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth. That Bethlehem I had my birth. Dance, dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all wherever I danced on the Friday when the sky turned black. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back. They buried my body and they thought I was gone. But I am the dance and I still go on. Dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. They cut me down and I leaped up high. I am the life that will never, never die. I live in you if you live in me. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. Dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance, said he.
But we have always been an outreach church, very, very community-minded, and it's been wonderful to be here.
When we were looking for a church home here in Hendersonville in the late 70s, we visited a lot of churches, and Grace Lutheran was the one church where everybody was just very welcoming. They'd come out and greet you and talk to you and want to know where you were from and why you were here, and just they were very welcoming, and we remembered that, and when we decided to join, it turned out to be Grace Lutheran. And we've been here almost 30 years now, and it's been wonderful for us. I can't say enough about it. So.
She dashes back to tell Peter and the disciple whom Jesus loved. They've taken the Lord, and we don't know where they've laid him.
When it comes to one of the most invigorating things for me at Grace, I have to say it's worship. Every year at Christmas and Easter still, I think about the full and the rich worship that we experienced at Grace. Beautiful music, choirs, and just the wonderful way that we came together as a people of God to worship God. I think those are things I'll always take with me as well.
Well, I think back of those 16 that started the church and think about their dreams. And if they could see the church today, I'm sure they'd be as proud of it as I am. It reaches out so far into the community and the world and everything.